everyone, I'm Samurai Sam, and this is the second half of my original Xbox collection. So let's just get right to it. We have NBA Street Volume 2. These are non-traditional sports games. The Street series, there's NBA Street and NFL Street, which I actually don't have on Xbox. I have it on PS2, I think. But I like non-traditional sports games. I haven't really played the street games that much. I know they're very well regarded. And there's stuff about, like, you do, like, tricks and, like, special maneuvers and stuff, and you get points that way. And it's, different. And the NBA is actually represented here. It's not just, like, random created teams or whatever. But, yeah, at some point I'm definitely going to give it some time and see if it's my thing. Here's actually a double pack of games here. We have NCAA Football 2005, and we have Top Spin. I kind of like sports games, so got this for basically nothing. Top Spin's obviously a tennis game, and I like tennis games, kind of. I haven't really played this one very much, or this one, honestly, either. I'm actually not, I've never really gotten into college football in general. It's not really as big here as it is in other parts of the country. But, at some point, maybe I'll try this out and see if there's, a point to playing it other than, just... If it's just like Madden or whatever, or if there's actually merit to playing it on its own. Here we have NFL Blitz 2003. Now these are basically kind of like the NBA Jam NHL Hits equivalent to football by Midway. Very arcadey sports games. This one, very fast-paced, lots of offense in these games. Easy to pick up and play. Now, I don't have a lot of experience with the Blitz series, and I can't really tell you all the differences between the different installments. Let's see, what's in this one? Looks like there's there's more modes than normal. It's not just an arcade game just slapped onto a Xbox disc. And I want to say there's probably some kind of a season or campaign in here, but I don't really know that much. I'm gonna have to spend some time with it and see. I have Need for Speed Underground 2. This is a racing game, and there's stuff about getting away from the cops and stuff. I find those modes in Need for Speed to be the most interesting, the police modes. I don't know if in this one, I don't know if this one has a bunch of police stuff, but yeah, that's what I remember the most about the Need for Speed series. There's a lot of games in the series, I don't really know them apart that much. This one kind of fell in my lap. I don't know if I'll keep it or not. I'll give it a spin and see if I like it. Here's more sports. NHL Hits Pro. This is, again, Midway. Unlike the previous NHL Hits games, this one is 5-on-5 rather than just 2-on-2. So it's a little bit closer to the sim side of it, although I'm sure it's still very arcadey. And you can probably play, with the level of realism that you want. So you could probably play very similar to a real hockey game, or you can kind of probably make it silly arcadey if you want to. And I haven't played this one hardly at all. I played a lot of NHL Hits 2003 on the GameCube, but not really this one, so at some point I'll have to change that. I'm going to pull these out together. Here's kind of two versions of the same game here. Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black. While Ninja Gaiden Black is kind of a... Interesting, you didn't see that much in that generation and before, but it's basically a reissuing of the original game with new content, new features, in an easier difficulty mode that you can unlock by sucking, I think. But this game, Ninja Gaiden 1, was very critically acclaimed when it came out, and... It's known for being very difficult. It's like a 3D action game, and it's considered really good. And I actually played and made some decent progress in Ninja Gaiden 1, but I guess at some point I got stuck and I didn't know what to do in the level, and I just kind of put it down, and that was probably dumb because I do actually really like these games. And at some point I will actually, all these years later, I mean that was probably 15 years ago. Oh my gosh! All these years later, I will actually sit down with it again and really play it. And see if it's as good as I remember. Here's to Outlaw Golf, speaking of non-traditional sports games. This is a really kind of silly, M-rated golf game with kind of raunchy characters. Raunchy-ish. I don't think it's too over the top, but more than you would see in Tiger Woods. You can beat up your caddy and crazy things like that. But yeah, I like golf games. I guess I thought it was worth a shot for cheap. Here's Outrun II. This is obviously a sequel to the original Outrun, which was an arcade hit by Sega, and it's a racing game, although you're really racing against the clock rather than other racers, I think, in Outrun 2. And so there's basically a, I want to say like remake, additional version of this game called Outrun II Coast to Coast, I think. I have that on PS2 disc only. I don't have the Xbox version. I don't know if the Xbox version is really worth it. I know it's kind of expensive. I haven't played this game that much. Like even the original Outrun, I haven't played it that much either. I played it in arcades a little bit, but not too much. So I can't really comment too much on it, obviously. PacMan World III. This one's kind of weird because they actually gave Pac-Man like voice acting in this one, which is different. I've barely played it. I played a decent amount of Pac-Man 2, which I mentioned before in the GameCube video, but I've never really touched this one. I got it for like super cheap. I mean, you can get most Xbox games for super cheap, or at least you could in the last few years, and you probably still can get most of them cheap. So yeah, at some point, I'll give this one a shot and see if like it's worth my time. It might not be, but I have it for now. Panzer Dragoon Orta. So Panzer Dragoon is a series that started on the Sega Saturn, and it had two main entries, and then like I guess you could call Panzer Dragoon Saga a spin-off, but like it's an RPG, very unique RPG. But basically, the main games in the series are like on-rail shooters, and you play as a dragon, and like you mostly control a reticle. You can't actually like control your movement all that much. It's mostly on rails, and you can change your viewpoint to all four directions of you and shoot at enemies, and like lock onto them with a homing laser and stuff. And this one takes it and adds a couple more features, takes the formula and adds more features and stuff. And I actually didn't like this one as much as I thought I would like it. I did really like Panzer Dragoon 2's Y, and I thought this one seemed like it was going to be really great. And then I actually played it, and I was like, gameplay's not like the best. And I don't know what it is about it. Like, it's kind of hard to put my finger on exactly why. Maybe if I played it again, I'd be able to tell you. But a lot of people really love this game. I'm kind of lukewarm on it, personally. Here's a game called Phantom Dusk. I believe this game is kind of unique. I think it's kind of, it's like a card-based game. Like, you build decks and stuff, I think, kind of like a collectible card game. But I think there's like an action component to it, too. And it's, I think it's kind of versus... it's kind of like built around multiplayer. Like, you're supposed to be playing this with friends. Like, there's a single player mode and everything, but I think this is one that had online play back in the day, and I've heard this game is really fun. It's kind of one of those like hidden gems. Like, it didn't really get like a ton of attention. I didn't even hear about it for years. But I haven't really spent time with it, so I can't really comment too much past that. But I will at some point. Here is Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. This is a 3D action game, very different from the Prince of Persias that were from the 90s. 3D action game, and kind of something cool about this game is that you can like rewind time and stuff. So like you miss your jump, you can, who cares if you died? You can just rewind time and you're good. Sort of good. You don't have unlimited time to do that, but a lot of platforming, some action in this one. This game got a lot of critical acclaim. I thought it was good, but like I didn't blow my socks off or anything. I thought it was alright. This was probably the first time, by the way, I ever heard Yuri Lowenthal's voice. He voices the main character, and Yuri Lowenthal's a very prominent voice actor, and I wound up meeting him eventually at AMA Boston 2019. So that was cool. This game has a couple sequels on the Xbox as well, which I have. Well, I tried Warrior Within, and I got rid of it because I made it far in that game, and then like I backtracked when I wasn't supposed to or something, and it seemed like I made it impossible to get back to where I was. And I just got frustrated with it, and I'm like, yeah, this game's not that great. The first one, Sands of Time, is, I think, probably the best one, and it's alright. PsyOps: The Mindgate Conspiracy. This is a pretty cool game from Midway. It's like a 3D action game. I guess you could call it a third-person shooter, but the twist is you have, like, psychokinetic powers, and you can, like, almost like the Force, almost, from Star Wars. You can, pick up objects like with your telekinetic powers from a distance and like swing them around and stuff. And you can even pick up enemies and like kill them that way, or like just like dispose of them that way. And it's really cool. I've owned this game like absolutely forever, and I just keep putting it on the back burner for some reason. But I will someday play it for sure. Like it seems like a cool game. It's got good reviews when it came out and stuff. Midway knows how to make some fun, zany things. So at some point, PsyOps, you will get your day in the sun. You've been waiting an awful long time. Here's Psychonauts. This is a game that sold poorly on its initial release, but was critically acclaimed and has a good following to this day. This is kind of a 3D. I guess it's mostly a platformer, and you can go into people's heads. Like you're at some kind of a camp, and like there's all kinds of different characters that have like their own like insecurities and stuff, and like when you go in their heads, like that reflects kind of what's going on in their head and stuff, like the levels that you face. And I remember trying this game out, and it didn't really grab me, but I kind of want to give it another chance. I actually watched a YouTube video on it recently, and it kind of like praised the game up well, and kind of made me like want to try it again. So yeah, I'll give it another shot sometime and see if I can get into it in the way most other people do. Here is a game called Raises Hell. This is like a third-person shooter, I think, and it's a very humorous game. There's like a bunch of like enemies that are just like really adorable, but like they're evil. They're invading your town and they're like taking it over and stuff. And it's very silly and definitely a game that piques my interest. I haven't played like a lot of like third-person shooters in that kind of game in my life, but I think this is one that I would enjoy. So at some point, I will give it more of a shot. Midway has to tackle every single sport, and here they tackled Red Card 2003. Well, I said that wrong. They tackled the sport of soccer or football, depending on where you live. They tackled that sport with Red Card 2003, and I believe this is the only game in that entire series. But yeah, this is a football/soccer game that's very non-traditional, and like you can like commit fouls with and stuff. I think like the rules are different. Like you can like kick, tackle, and score in a larger than life three-dimensional structure. This is a non-traditional sports game. Like you don't play this exactly like a regular soccer game, and you probably have more leeway about like what you can do physically to other players and stuff. And I like stuff like that, so I will give it a shot sometime. Unfortunately, this copy doesn't have the manual, but I got it for like $2, so like, why not? At some point, I'll give it a shot and see what it is. That's actually probably the one I've played the least out of all the Midway arcade sports games. Here is an import from Australia. It's Ricky Ponting International Cricket 2005. So I live in America, and America knows nothing about cricket for the most part. But I'm kind of intrigued by it. It's similar in some ways to baseball, and I like baseball, so I thought, yeah, why not grab a couple cricket video games? I've already showed you a cricket game on the Sega Genesis that I have, or Mega Drive, if you will. So I grabbed this, and seems like an interesting game. It's a way for me to kind of get acquainted with the sport, because it's kind of hard for me to watch the sport. But by playing the game, I can get more acquainted with it. I figured video games are a good way to do that. So I haven't spent a lot of time with this game, but I think I kind of understand for the most part how to play it. I think my cricket game of choice though is one coming up that is on a future console that I suppose I will talk about when I get to that one. But it's worth noting that Ricky Ponting is an Australian guy, and on the European version of the game features Brian Lara instead of Ricky Ponting, although otherwise it's the exact same game. Speaking of sports games that aren't popular in America, or games for sports that aren't popular in America, here is Rugby 2005, which actually did get an American release. You can see it says NTSC up there. And rugby is a sport that's a little bit like American football, but definitely very different in a lot of ways. And a lot of interesting rules and scenarios that you don't come across in American football. And I tried learning this game once, and it seemed difficult to me. I sucked at it. I went through the tutorial and everything, and I kind of sucked at it. And I'm not sure if I will ever be able to ascend past the level of suck with this game, but maybe I'll give it another shot sometime and see. I think video games are kind of a cool way to get acquainted with sports that are not familiar to you. Here's another 2-pack of a game. We got Sega GT 2002 and JSRF Jet Set Radio Future. Now, the original Jet Set Radio, which I've already talked about, is a game where I really dig the style and kind of the concept, but the original game, I just didn't like it that much. I didn't really enjoy playing it all that much. And this one, I haven't played as much as the original. I did give it a shot, and it didn't really grab me, but maybe I'll give it another shot. I do like, again, the soundtrack, the style, and everything. Sega GT, I think, is a little bit more of a realistic racing game, kind of like Gran Turismo, where it's actually tries to feel like driving a real car. And those games can be enjoyable to me. Although I'm not the type to spend a whole lot of hours on those games, which really you're supposed to do. So I guess they're not really for me. But maybe I'll give it a shot sometime. More non-traditional sports games. Boy, this is just the sports episode, isn't it? Sega Soccer Slam. This is as you can see, kind of a cartoony, over the top, non-traditional soccer game. And this is another one that was pretty highly rated when it came out. I don't know how well it sold or anything, but yeah, you got a bunch of like, all fictional teams, like kind of representing different countries in the real world, and very over the top characters with a lot of personality, and looks like some fast paced kind of arcadey like gameplay, and it seems like a fun time. And at some point, I will spend more time with it. Here we go down here to this row. We've got SNK versus Capcom SVC Chaos. So Capcom versus SNK was made by Capcom, and I believe this was made by SNK, kind of their take on the crossover. And this one is widely regarded to be not as good as Capcom vs. SNK, and from what I've played, I tend to agree with them, but it is different. It's got like different characters and a little bit of a different control scheme and stuff. And I just figured, yeah, it's fun to play these games with friends, so why not have it in the collection? That's kind of all I have to say about it, really. Here's some good stuff. It's Sonic Mega Collection Plus. Bunch of good, really classic Sonic games on here. And this one has some bonus games, including some Game Gear titles like... I don't remember exactly which one. Sometimes they're versions of games like Sonic Spin. I think Sonic Spinball Game Gear is on here. I want to say Sonic. Oh, what's the name of that racing game? Sonic Drift, I think, is on here. Yeah. So it doesn't have all the Sonic Game Gear games because there was a lot of them. Sonic Gems Collection has some of the other ones, but yeah, it's neat to have them. It's not like anything that's going to blow my socks off, but yeah. I mean, Sonic. I adore the Sonic Genesis games, and yeah, this is a decent way to play them. I'd rather play on the original hardware, but if you just have an Xbox and nothing else, this is not a bad way at all. Here's a game I've already talked about before. It's a Soulcalibur II, probably my favorite 3D fighter of all time. And this version of the game has like really fast load times because it's on the Xbox. Like you compare this to PS2, there's no comparison. It's way faster. This has Spawn, the comic book character, as a playable character. I'm not too familiar with Spawn or his universe, but I do have to say that Spawn is a fun character to play as. So that's cool. I like this version of the game. I really wish they would make a Switch version that would have all three of the guest characters, Link, Spawn, and Heihachi, but yeah, I have a feeling it's not going to happen. Maybe you will look on this in like 5 years and it will have happened and you'll be like, haha, Sam, you were right all along. It did. Well, you should have expected. You should have had faith because it did happen. Here's Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. These are kind of PC style, like squad versus squad games. And I have a little bit of experience with them. Played them with a friend once, and you can you can fight on foot, or you can get into like vehicles and stuff and shoot each other. I don't really know like a lot of the differences between 1 and 2, and I don't know how the single player campaign is either. I'll probably try that at some point and check it out. Yeah, I'm not I didn't take the time to actually learn how to be good at these games, so I can't really judge them fairly. I know that they are well regarded, yeah, maybe if I had a bunch of buddies who played it and got me into it, I probably would enjoy it too. But seems like a cool representation of the Star Wars universe, if nothing else. Here is... Alright, a couple games I'm going to pull out here. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. These are games that are very highly regarded and were extremely critically acclaimed when they came out. And these take place, I think, hundreds of years before the prequel trilogy. And, you have a lot of freedom in this game, whether you want to be a Sith Lord or a Jedi, and you can be a good guy or bad guy, blah blah blah. And you have a lot of choices you can make, and a lot of world building and stuff. These games are very much based on D&D. The stats are a lot like D&D, and you have saving throws like D&D. The mechanics are very Dungeons and Dragons ish. I personally have a hard time getting into games like this for some reason. It's hard for me to even put my finger on why. It's just I don't know. I guess a lot of it is the world building and feeling you're really in the world. And I guess that kind of stuff just isn't what I look for in a video game most of the time. I don't knock it by any means, but I'm more about, I guess, action and... I mean, I enjoy good stories, but I don't know. The style of this type of game usually doesn't grab me. So I tried getting into Star Wars KOTOR once, not that long ago. I spent a couple hours on it and just didn't really grab me that much. But I do respect the games. I don't know. I might pass these on sometime to someone who appreciates this type of game more than I do. But here's a game I certainly do appreciate. It's a Steel Battalion, and yes, I do have the big hulky controller. Where is it? It's in the closet, I think. The big hulky controller that comes with it with a bunch of buttons. So what this game is basically is it tries to make a game that really feels like what it realistically would be like to pilot a giant war robot. And really all out simulation hardcore, you really feel like you are piloting a real life giant robot, and it's super cool. This is not a type of game that I would normally play, I don't think, but they nail it so hard with this game that even I am interested in it. And so, like, I haven't, like, formally played it all the way to the end. It's a tough game, kind of. I mean, and there's a lot of buttons and stuff and a lot of things to get used to. But it's a very cool game. Undeniably very cool game. And happy to have it. I got it from my friend Joe Walker, Space Kappa. And gave it to me for a good price, and I really appreciate that. Here's Taito Legends 2. This is a Europe-only version of the game. And I've already talked about Taito Legends 2 for PS2. This version is a little better in my opinion because it's got a better menu and interface, and also it has the Bust a Move 2 with the actual Bubble Bobble characters in it, where the PS2 version they're out. This one has some exclusive games that aren't in the PS2 version, include most notably like Bubble Symphony and Rayforce. PS2 version also has a few exclusive games of its own, including G Daria, so that's also notable. I have both versions. But yeah, a lot of cool 90s games on this disc, and I recommend it if you like, old arcade compilations. Speaking of old arcade compilations, here's Tecmo Classic Arcade. This is really not a very big compilation. There's only 11 games in here. It's got the arcade version of Tecmo on it, which is pretty cool. It's got Solomon's Key arcade version. It's all arcade versions. This is not like NES versions or anything. I don't know if there's any games on here that are really like great, but I just have to have all the arcade compilations like this. I like this kind of stuff. I'm not sure how much time I'm going to spend with it. At some point, I'm going to fire this disc up and really dive into some of these games, but not sure exactly. It's probably not one of the top compilation discs on the Xbox, but I had to have it. Here's the Bible game. So, being a Christian, I was kind of interested in this as like a quiz game sort of thing. I know there's a lot of trivia questions as part of the gameplay, but honestly, this game kind of disappointed me. There's a lot of really kind of lame mini games that you have to do, and there's no mode you can go to where it's just the trivia, or you can't escape the mini games, basically is what I'm going to say. And it's kind of got it kind of feels like it's kind of no man's land, where it's trying to appeal to young people, kids, and also has really hard trivia questions which the kids wouldn't know. So I just feel like this game is kind of a miss. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should just get rid of it, but I don't know. Maybe at some point I will try and enjoy it, or maybe it'll be an interesting conversation piece or something. There's not that many games like it. Here's the Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. This game was very highly regarded when it came out. It's got some of the best graphics ever seen on the original Xbox. It's a first-person shooter action game sort of thing, and came out around the same time as the movie Chronicles of Riddick. I don't remember if there's more than one Riddick movie, but yeah, I enjoyed spending some time with this game. I made it pretty far, and this is way back in the day, by the way. But I think I got stuck, and I didn't really know what to do, and then my save got erased. Like I've said, one time I erased all my Xbox data, and that sucked. So yeah, maybe at some point I'll give it another try. Actually, I think I have this on the 360 as well, because it got ported to the 360. But yeah, it is at least at the time, a highly regarded Xbox game. I don't know how many people really remember it now, though. I keep forgetting that I have this. It's King of Fighters Maximum Impact Maniacs. It's a 3D King of Fighters game, and I think it's considered okay, but not as good as the 2D games. And I can't really give my own opinion. This one's kind of been sitting in my collection. At some point, I will try it. Here's Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. This is an action game that is considered a very good licensed game that captures the spirit of the movie very well and uses some footage from the movie. I really have to see these movies again. Honestly, I saw them when they came out, and I haven't seen them since. And I think before I enjoy these games, I really probably should see the movies again. But yeah, it's got co-op, which is cool. I'll probably play this co-op at some point, when the pandemic's over. Here we have more Lord of the Rings. It's The Third Age. This is made kind of in the style of a Japanese RPG. It's kind of made like a Final Fantasy game, and it's not directly based on the books. It's kind of a spin-off, and you play as characters that aren't in the movies. But yeah, obviously it's in the same world at the same time. And this is considered to be a quality game. And I will be interested in checking this out once again I see the movies again, and I have a better idea of what's going on in the world there. Here is the Simpsons Road Rage, which is pretty obviously a take on the Crazy Taxi formula. Basically, if you like Crazy Taxi and you like The Simpsons, I would say this game is worth checking out. Otherwise, probably not. That's kind of all I have to say about it. Personally, The Simpsons is something that's always kind of escaped me. I've never really gotten into it. I've barely watched it, so I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have it, but I do have it. Here's Time Splitters 2 and Time Splitters Future Perfect. So these are the only first-person shooters I've ever beaten in my life, and I just beat them this year. Time Splitters 2, I mean, these games have very good multiplayer, arcade, fast-paced multiplayer, first-person shooters. And Time Splitters Future Perfect has a really good story mode campaign, a lot of humor, and solid gameplay, and a lot of time travel, which is cool. And sometimes, like, you'll run into yourself, which is actually your future self from where you're going to be later in the level, because you, like, jump through a time hole. It's really cool. And, yeah, highly recommend Time Splitters Future Perfect. Even if you don't normally play first-person shooters, they're a great game. It's a great game. Toe Jam Mineral 3, Mission to Earth. This game is more like the original Toe Jam Mineral, and you can actually play randomized as well, just like you can with the original. But it's got like a kind of a lot of humor in the story. The characters kind of like talk like rappers, rap artists, but of course very humorous. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed the humor of this game back in the day. And this game got like lukewarm reviews from critics, but fans liked it, which was interesting. And yeah, I did enjoy it. I played it through a long time ago. I'm not sure if I would think the same of it if I played it again now. But yeah, if you like Toe Jam Mineral, it's probably worth checking out. Here is a game called Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Stealth Action Redefined. Actually, the reason I have this is because this is what you need to soft mod your Xbox. One of the games that are optional that you can use to soft mod your Xbox. But this is actually considered a really good game. It got a lot of hype when it came out and praise, and people called it like a Metal Gear killer and stuff. But like, you know, as the series went on, it seems like people kind of either forgot about it or just, you know, the people that are into it aren't the people that I normally hear talk about video games. I don't know. But yeah, stealth-based gameplay, and supposedly really done really well. I haven't really tried it myself to give my own opinion. But, you know, the main character's name is Sam, and I think that's cool. Now it's Tony Hawk time. First, here is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X. This is an Xbox exclusive version of Tony Hawk 2 that has all the levels from the first game plus 3 new bonus levels. And the coolest thing about this version is that it actually has 4-player multiplayer, whereas before the Tony Hawk games only had 2-player. And so I think this is a really good Tony Hawk game. Highly recommended if you have an Xbox. And then, in my opinion, the best Tony Hawk game, Tony Hawk 3. Already talked about it on the GameCube. It's amazing. It's really, 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 really good. And this version has an exclusive unlockable character, and it has custom soundtracks, so you can, like, you know, have your own background music if you rip it to your Xbox and stuff. Great stuff. And then Tony Hawk's Underground, which has more of an involved like storyline. So you create a character and like you follow a story as he like, you know, tries to become like a professional skater. And I remember renting the PS2 version and playing through most of it back in the day. I don't think it's as good as 3, but it's probably still pretty good. And Tony Hawk's Underground 2, which takes a very different turn in the story mode, and like you play like as like this gang of like pranksters under Bam what's his name, Bam Margella or something. I'm probably saying that completely wrong and embarrassing myself, but Bam. And you do like a bunch of like silly things, and it's still basically got the gameplay intact. It's probably not as good as 3 from what I've heard of it, but you know, still one I'm probably gonna spend some time with. Worms 3D. I really like the 2D Worms games. This is in 3D, and I think it's kind of the same concept, but of course, you know, 3 dimensions instead of 2. And I really want to play this with like a friend or 2 or 3 sometime, but that day has not come yet. So I can't really judge it. I've heard that it's okay, but like not amazing. I have here, I don't know why I have both of these, but I have them. I think they were basically given to me. WWE Raw and WWE Raw 2. These are not considered great wrestling games. One thing I like about them is, again, the original Xbox's custom soundtracks feature. You can create a wrestler and like basically have them come out to any song you want to. So, like, you know, just literally any song you have on a CD, you can rip it onto your Xbox and make it their entrance music. So you can probably do some really silly, fun stuff with that. But the gameplay, from what I've heard, is not that great. Getting near the end now, we've got XMen Legends 2, Rise of Apocalypse. I've already talked about the XMen Legends 1 on the GameCube. That's the version I have for that one. Yeah, it's like up to 4-player co-op, action, top-down, and supposedly good, but I haven't really played it that much. Really at all. So, can't really give an opinion. But at some point, it would be cool to play this with friends. I don't know. And then last, and probably not least, we have Zionite. This is kind of an obscure and also quite rare Xbox game that I managed to get for a cheap price. And it's, I guess you can call it a shoot 'em up. It's kind of different. It's been a while since I gave this game a spin. I remember it being different, and I don't remember thinking it was great, but, you know, one that I probably should revisit and try to, like, really master before I really pass final judgment. If you find this game for cheap, it's probably worth picking up because it's rare and it might be worth money someday if it interests you. So that is my original Xbox collection. Stay tuned because Nintendo DS is coming up next. I am Samurai Sam. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.